Ag PhD full episodes and more are now available on Acres TV, the newest ag platform connecting you to fields of information. Look for us on watchacrestv.com.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk a little about how 2,4-D and dicamba control weeds.
We get a lot of questions about 2,4-D and dicamba. They are technically growth regulator type products. Well, how do they regulate growth? Now, as a farmer, I want them to kill my weeds. I just want them to regulate it by stopping growth on these weeds, but they actually kind of do the opposite.
When I went to college, there were a lot of professors that would kind of talk over your head a little bit. One of the things I always liked about our dad is he was very blunt and he'd put it in real simple terms. And instead of getting into all this fancy scientific stuff about how 2,4-D and dicamba kill weeds, he just said it like this. He said, boys, these products, they try to grow the weed to death. They're trying to speed up growth so much that the plant can't handle it and it dies. In a nutshell, that's how these products control your weeds.
Well, when you look at weeds after you've sprayed a 2,4-D or a dicamba product, now those are two different chemistries, but they work in similar ways. You see weeds that start to curl over. They're just rapidly trying to grow. Sometimes you see right at the growing points, you see lots of rapid expansion happening and the plant just can't keep up. It's literally bursting the cells and the weed just kind of gets limp. So that's what we see with these products. But the rate makes a big difference if you don't use enough rate. And we see this all the time out in pastures. Farmers will spray the lowest rate possible because these things are not free. Farmers have to spend money to use these products. They put the lowest rate possible, hoping for the best results, but sometimes it doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, but let's talk about why it doesn't happen. It has a lot to do with the weather. If you have amazing weather and your plant is already growing super fast, well, think about it. If we're trying to grow the plant to death, we don't need to add a lot more and we're going to get that kill that we're after. Well, if you have poor weather, so in other words, cold weather, that's usually the biggest factor. You can talk about, oh, it's drought and the plant's under stress. That's a problem too. But for our region of the country in the Midwestern United States, we're usually talking cold. If the nighttime temps are below 50 degrees, if the daytime temps are below 70 degrees, it's not ideal for either dicamba or 2,4-D in terms of how effective they're going to be at weed control.
Now, there have been a couple of recent advancements with both of these chemistries. We'll use dicamba in corn as an example. There's a couple of safener products out there now, products that have a corn safener in Status and Diflex, where you can spray a product that contains dicamba, but with the safener in there, it helps the corn plant not grow itself to death while the weeds are dying. So that's a good thing. On the 2,4-D side, there's been new chemistry developed, 2,4-D choline, that has a different salt that's attached to the active ingredient of 2,4-D, and now that keeps the 2,4-D in place a little better. What was happening in the past with the old amine and ester formulations of 2,4-D is the salt would break free from the 2,4-D, and the 2,4-D was free to volatilize for a certain period of time after spraying.
By volatility, we're basically talking about it moves up in the air, and then unfortunately it can move off target and hurt somebody else's crop or vegetation that they have.
Well, what we would see is sometimes is leaves cupping up. That's another thing we see with the dicamba and 2,4-D, that we see the curling effect. It's very good when we're talking about weeds. It's not good if you're talking about desirable plants.
2,4-D and dicamba are what we would consider contact killers for the most part, where you have to spray leaf foliage. However, there is some soil activity, especially if you use very high rates. There is not very much soil activity. Don't expect it's going to last in the soil very long, controlling weeds or anything like that. But anyway, once again, with 2,4-D and dicamba, they grow plants to death. Whether that product gets absorbed by the roots or the leaves, this is the type of kill we're going to get on weeds.
Well, one of the weeds that you may be targeting with a 2,4-D or dicamba type product is our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?